All right, what is up, ladies and gents? Jason Ward here, Ward's Way to Fitness, coming at you for some more fitness and nutrition knowledge today. You guys like my t-shirt? Got the from Firefly, short-lived but amazing television show in the early 2000s, taken off the air by Fox far before its time. Very disappointing. Uh, anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. As always, I'm just kind of like nerding out a little on you. Today, I wanted to talk about a question that I got from a former client. She was asking me about late night eating. She can't seem to control her intake late into the day. And so I thought I would talk a little bit about some of the reasons why that might be, some strategies you might be able to incorporate to help you deal with that particular problem. So, first up, I do want to say that at the end of the day, calories in, calories out is the most important factor. It doesn't matter so much when you eat your food, and it's more about the overall caloric intake. Now, when you eat your food can have an impact on your circadian rhythms. So eating too close to bedtime can affect your sleep, which if you've been listening to me for a while, you may have heard me talk before about how sleep is one of the most important factors in your fitness journey, whether that be weight loss, muscle gain, doesn't matter. If you're not sleeping, you're not recovering, and you're not going to make progress. So if you're eating too close to bedtime, it can affect your sleep, making it like less optimal sleep, meaning that you're not as rested the next day. But in terms of the overall caloric impact, there's very little difference between eating most of your calories first thing in the morning or at the end of the day. So as long as you're reasonably well digested when you hit the sack, you're probably okay to have most of your calories at the end of the day if you want. So I've played around with this in the past myself. So there's a concept called carb backloading where you eat the bulk of your carbs right before bed. And the theory was that it would help you sleep deeper and longer. I found it minimally effective personally. I don't feel like I handle carbohydrate very well, so that's probably part of it. There are plenty of people who saw great results by doing a carb backloading style of eating. So if that's you and you are seeing great results, keep doing what you're doing. If you're not, then maybe we need to look at when you're eating your meals or why you're leaving so many of your calories to the end of the day. So one of the reasons that people tend to choose the wrong foods at the end of the day, though, is the discipline issue. So people are like, I don't have any willpower when it comes to the end of the day. I just want to eat everything in sight. So why might that be? Well, number one, the later in the day it is, the more likely you will have had to have made many decisions through the day. If you think about like decision making, you should think of it kind of like a bank. There's a set amount of willpower in the bank that you can utilize every day. The more decisions that you make as the day goes on, the lower that bank account goes. You're making withdrawal after withdrawal after withdrawal, and eventually it runs out. So if you get to the end of the day, you've had a hard day, you've made a lot of decisions, you don't really feel like making decisions anymore, you're probably going to make the wrong one. And then we start eating the foods that we enjoy but are probably not optimal for our goals. All right, so that's one reason why you might be binge eating. Maybe you have a very stressful lifestyle, and at the end of the day, you just don't feel like making good decisions, and it's very difficult for you to make good decisions. That's perfectly normal. It happens to a lot of people. You might go through phases of high stress where you're having trouble with that. Right? Meditation can definitely help cope with that. Spend some time with mindful thinking and mindful eating and trying to calm the mind and the nervous system for optimal results. All right, so that's one potential irritant. Another one that I've frequently seen is that you're not eating enough protein. Okay, so this is one that I get arguments with from people all the time. I see it all over the internet. People are like, you don't need that much protein. And they quote the RDAs or the recommended daily allowances, as the reason why we don't need more protein. So the RDA, if you don't know, was come to and like by consensus of scientists sometime way back 1940s or something like that. I don't really remember specifically when this all came about, but the RDA was the minimum requirement to keep you from getting ill. All right? This is not the minimum amount to make you effective, right? To be optimal, to function at your best. Now, as your protein intake goes up, generally what we see is an increase in satiety. So now you're feeling more full because you're getting enough protein, right? Ted Naiman talks about this in his book, The Protein Energy Ratio. It's a read that I'm still kind of working my way through, but there's lots of interesting information there. And he talks a lot about it in some of his videos if you want to look into that stuff. The basis of his diet is that this idea is that protein's the most important. So it should make up a fair chunk of your daily calories. And then you either want to focus on carbohydrates or fats for the rest of the calories, and trying, if you're eating a lot of fat, to limit your carbohydrate, and vice versa. So if you're eating a lot of carbohydrate, try to limit your fat. I've talked about the Randall cycle previously. It seems that when you have a lot of carbs and fats at the same time, this tends to lead to insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and problems with our health. So if you're following a vegan diet, for instance, focus on getting the protein. That's the most important thing that you can do, because that's going to help you stay full. If you're not getting fats with those proteins, as most vegan sources will not, then you'll need to increase the fiber-rich foods to help you feel more full as well. So that's where you need to focus next. Maybe you're not getting enough protein. Maybe that's why you're hungry at the end of the day, or what's leading you to want a snack. Your body is feeling it doesn't have enough protein coming in, so it's trying to get you to eat more food in order to satisfy that need for protein. All right, so the other one that I have seen semi-frequently is a micronutrient deficiency. So you're not getting some micronutrients that you need. And this often goes hand in hand with your protein intake. If you're not getting enough protein, you're probably not getting enough nutrients. And if you're not getting a good variety of foods on a vegan diet, then you're probably not getting enough of the nutrients that your body needs. And there is a possibility that because of some of the anti-nutrients and some of the fruits and vegetables, that you're actually just not absorbing the food that's coming in to get the nutrients out. And so a lot of nutrients can get trapped in the fiber in fruits and vegetables, and it can be very hard for the body to digest and actually extract that nutrition. So meat's much easier for your body to get the nutrition out, and that's typically why there are less deficiencies on omnivorous diets than there are in vegan or vegetarian diets. And why some people will struggle with nighttime eating. It is often as a result of that protein or nutrient deficiency. You need more protein or you need more nutrients. And so making appropriate combinations of foods to make sure you're getting the amino acids that you need, getting the nutrition that you need, is key to trying to limit that need for late night eating. So if you're getting everything that you need before the end of the day, you will be less likely to feel that craving for food. So there is also the potential pitfall that you have been habitually eating late in the day. So because you do it regularly, your body thinks that's when it's supposed to eat. So our bodies are very good at achieving homeostasis and getting into habits and routines, and this is not always to our benefit. Sometimes these habits are actually detrimental to our goals. So if you're chewing or eating food late into the day on a regular basis, that's just when you normally eat, then your body will start to release hormones to tell you that it's time to eat, right? So there's one in particular called ghrelin, and that's what controls our hunger and tells us when it's time to eat. So if you always eat at the same time of day, every day, then eventually your body will start to release this hormone ghrelin telling you that, oh, it's almost time to eat. And then over time, it just kind of bumps when that signal starts a little bit earlier and a little bit earlier to try and get you to think about eating when it's supposed to be time for you to be eating, right? So if you are an habitual late night eater, this will probably continue unless you break the habit, which means you'll probably have to deal with some hunger pains. Sorry, it's gonna suck probably a little bit, but if you distract yourself with tasks, reading, don't mindlessly eat in front of the TV. That's a poor decision, right? You need to make sure that you're trying to put in better habits in place. All right, so if you're feeling hungry at the end of the day, then you need to find something to keep your mind off of food. So, number one, I would drink a little bit of water just to put something in your stomach to make it feel like there is some nutrition coming in. Sometimes that will help solve the problem, other times it won't. Doesn't matter. You're probably not drinking enough water, so drinking a little bit more definitely not going to hurt you. And then, as I've said, maybe read a book, you could meditate, go for a walk, just do something to distract your mind and get you away from food. And if you do that, and let's say you take a walk, actually, you go for a 10 or 15-minute walk, and you come back, you're still feeling kind of hungry, at least then you've done some activity to kind of offset whatever little extra calories you might be taking in at that point. And a good, like, moderate pace walk, as I've talked about in previous videos, will improve your insulin sensitivity and allow you to better utilize carbohydrates if you're taking them in. So just to recap kind of like some of the ideas that I went over today, the reason that you might be late night eating. So number one, we talked about the lack of willpower at the end of the day. So you have a finite amount of willpower you can use every day, and every decision that you make takes a little bit of that willpower away until you get to the end of the day, and then you make a poor decision, right? Not uncommon. Definitely just be aware of these things. If you take the choice away, so if you have the meal already prepared, that will make that much easier. So if you know what you're going to eat, it's already ready, and you just go and you eat it, and then you're done with that, that's much better, right? Protein deficiency was the next one I talked about. So, are you getting enough protein? Generally speaking, I find, particularly for active people, that they're not. Remember, the RDAs is a minimum recommendation to keep you from dying or being sick. That's it. It's not enough for optimal health and optimum performance. All right? Number three I talked about was nutrient timing. You will, or not timing, nutrient deficiencies, sorry. So the deficiency in specific micronutrients could be happening, causing you to crave more food, particularly toward the end of the day. Your body will be looking for that nutrition. So that could be a potential downfall as well. So take a look at the foods that you're eating, figure out if there is something in your diet that's missing, or get some blood work done and see if there is something that's coming back as not being enough in your diet right now. And then last was habits. You might be eating just from habitual, daily, repetitive task, basically. You're always eating in the evening. Your body gets used to eating in the evening and wants to keep eating in the evening. All right? So your take home is make less decisions if you can, right? Obviously, if the food's already prepared, that will be better. Get more protein, at least 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. If you don't know your lean body mass, then a pound or a gram per pound of your body weight will do fine. It might be a little bit more than you need, but it'll be better than being deficient, right? And micronutrients. So if you don't know if you're deficient in something, go get some blood work done. Figure out if you are deficient. That could be a problem for you, right? And then lastly, set better habits, all right? Go for a walk in the evening instead of eating a snack. Do some meditation, read a book. Do something to keep the mind on something other than food, all right? Hopefully, this has been helpful for you guys. If you like the content, please comment, like my video, subscribe to my channel for future updates, and I will talk at you guys next time. Have a great day.